This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Good evening to you and welcome to our News at 8 bulletin here on Church of Uganda Family TV. My name is Hope Nyongeza. Let us take a look at our headlines.
Headlines brought to you by
Centenary Publishing House, the leading publishers of prayer and hymn books since 1977.
Tonight in News at 8, IRCU to digitize religious biodata. Religious leaders urged to embrace the initiative.
Churches keep records like baptisms. They do, in the traditional churches, they do confirmations. They also register marriages, deaths. All of these records need to come together and files be kept in a safe environment where they cannot be corrupted, where they cannot be lost. Should the building collapse, as I said, should there be a fire?
Also tonight, people with disabilities vote smoothly in Zambia parliamentary elections. Voters call for stronger support and legal protections.
We have had a very, I'll call it a smooth pass for election.
People with disabilities are allocated 16 billion and we want to advocate for it to go to 20 billion at least.
And in international news, Russia-Ukraine war. Massive fires erupt as residential buildings in Kyiv hit.
brought to you by
Centenary Publishing House, the leading publishers of prayer and hymn books since 1977.
And in our stories tonight, the Interreligious Council of Uganda has partnered with Family Search International to digitize religious biodata across Uganda's places of worship. Now, the initiative aims at preserving vital religious records, saving time and protecting the environment by reducing the use of paper. We have the report.
As a way of guaranteeing safety to religious biodata in Uganda, the Interreligious Council of Uganda has today signed a memorandum of understanding with Family Search International aimed at preserving and digitizing religious biodata across Uganda's places of worship. The initiative follows IRCU's participation in the Family Search Symposium held in Nairobi, Kenya last year, where the importance of safeguarding sacred records was emphasized. Key objectives of the program include supporting religious institutions in documenting and achieving key biodata electronically, providing technical support and training to religious leaders and institutions on data achieving and others. Pastor Joseph Serwada, the co-chair of Interreligious Council of Uganda, explained the different forms of documents targeted, including baptisms, confirmations, new converts, ordinations, leadership details, biographies of members and others.
Churches keep records like baptisms. They do, in the traditional churches, they do confirmations. They also register marriages, deaths. All of these records need to come together and files be kept in a safe environment where they cannot be corrupted, where they cannot be lost. Should the building collapse, as I said, should there be a fire, should there be a deluge or heavy water trouble, then at that stage the information is elsewhere. At this stage, that's where we are, and that's what we are talking about.
The Council's Secretary General Joshua Chitakuli indicated how the initiative will save time, preserve information for future generations, and protect the environment as there will be no more cutting of trees for papers.
This meeting is an envisioning meeting just to try to sensitize the religious leaders to be able to know the importance of digitization, to be able to know that, you see, we are in that era now where you don't need to go back to the books, piles and piles of books. Again, it's also environmentally friendly, because you can imagine people are wedding every day. You can imagine a marriage register for 100 years. How does it look like? So we think that this is a wonderful initiative that we engaged in today.
He encouraged the religious leaders to embrace the initiative and assured them of data protection.
So I want to call upon the faith communities to embrace this initiative. I think it is the way to go, because if we lost data, you can imagine now, if we lost data for 140 years, and actually the Muslims have been here even much more earlier than the Catholic and the Anglicans, it will be very dangerous. So we think that this is a good initiative that will help us to store, to digitize, to help us to access.
Nicholas Akelo, the Field Relations Manager of Family Search International, aired commitments to preserve and digitize religious biodata across the country.
Family Search works with also schools, hospitals, governments, non-governments, or any other institution that have those kind of records. We call them genealogical. They contain the name, the place of birth, the date of birth, because our main objective is to bring joy to families by creating that connection through family trees and connecting generations. Thank you.
Okay. The pilot program will be launched with the Church of Uganda before expanding to other religious institutions. John Baptista Humza, Church of Uganda, Family TV News at 8.
And moving on, today people with disabilities in Zambia turned out to vote for their parliamentary representatives in the upcoming term. Now, while electronic voting machines were not used this time, voters were able to cast their ballots using paper, with officials assisting them as needed. Now, the Electoral Commission said the voting process went smoothly despite some initial challenges, and emphasized the importance of inclusive participation in the democratic process. We have more details. On the start of this year's election period, these voters were unable to use electronic voting machines and instead cast their votes using paper ballots, with each voter's name read aloud before they marked their choice.
Kandi mwabo tubadde tulina abalonda ebifo ebyo nga 10 mwabo mulimu ne Minisita Helena Samo waffe w'eggwanga.
We have had a very, I'll call it a smooth pass for election.
Among the elected representatives, it is known that 5 were designated to represent people with disabilities. Among them, 1 was designated to be a woman, and in this case, Laura Kanushu, female MP representing people with disabilities, was able to cast her vote without any obstruction.
Genda okulonderwa bebo abagenda okukiikirira abaliko obulemu mu parliament. Ateeka eryo ligamba nti abaliko obulemu bajja kukiikirirwa ng'abantu 5 mu parliament, ng'omu ku abo alina okuba mukyala. Naye already omukyala ye yayitamu nga tavunaganyizirwa.
People with disabilities are allocated 16 billion, and we want to advocate for it to go to 20 billion at least.
Julius Muchunguzi, spokesperson for the Electoral Commission, outlined how the elections were organized and conducted, explaining the procedures followed and noting that each district sent 5 representatives to participate in the electoral college process.
Special interest groups. Ntaba special interest groups oba betusaako enkizo bajja kukiikirirwanga ku mitendera gyonna okuva ku byalo okugenda ku miruka okugenda ku magombolola ma districts ne ku national level.
Some of the MPs representing people with disabilities including Helena Samo Grace and Ochan Joyce, spoke about the challenges encountered during today's voting and explained the measures that were taken to address them.
We don't have ballot papers which are brailled, so those ones he makes the blind still to depend on another person, maybe a relative. We still have a challenge there, but also the issue of voter education. Maybe we need to teach our people to know that they're supposed to vote, because our ballot is you choose 4 people out of, we were 10 at the beginning, 1 dropped out yesterday.
In doing so, they emphasized the need to strengthen national laws, provide greater support for people with disabilities, and create conditions that empower them to fully participate in society. Now, former presidential candidate for the Forum of Democratic Change FDC ticket, Right Honorable Nathan Nandala Mafabi, has declared the 2026 presidential elections were flawed and did not reflect the will of the Ugandan people. Now, the party has rejected the results in their entirety and is calling for immediate resignation of the Electoral Commission chairperson, Justice Simon Byabakama, alongside a total overhaul of the commission. Now, Nandala Mafabi made the remarks while addressing the press at his home in Mbale City. We have the report.
The recently concluded presidential elections have sparkled widespread dissatisfaction among the opposition political parties following the Electoral Commission's declaration of the results. The Forum for Democratic Change has outrightly rejected the election outcome and is demanding sweeping electoral reforms.
So I can tell you that's why I was saying the election has been mad with a lot of problems, and we believe that unless we pull up our socks, this Electoral Commission is just one of those tools which is used by the regime to legitimize their stay in power until death. I hear people saying Museveni was getting his 7th term. No, 45 years it means he's getting his 9th term, because every term is 5 years. So a leader to be there for 45 years, he makes institutions not to operate. It makes us really not feel bad. All of you know the Electoral Commission is just a tool. I can tell you, if Electoral Commission wasn't a tool, we would have really had a fair and a free election. Why? They came and lied us that the BVVK system they have brought is going to remove people that might be voting, it is going to stop rigging, the right people are going to vote, and all of you know what happens.
Nandala Mafabi says the outcome of the 2026 presidential election was deeply frauded and failed to reflect the genuine will of Ugandans, calling for the resignation and reconstitution of the Electoral Commission.
The election never took place. The Electoral Commission rigged from day one for the ruling party. That's why Museveni was able to get 71.65% allocated, and he claims they cheated him. You are aware to show that this is the most useless, hopeless, corrupt Electoral Commission. You have nominated the people. You remember 17 members of parliament were disqualified to allow NRM to go and what? And oppose. Surely, somebody has nominated me, has seconded me, is my official gate. At that, why should he be removed?
The FDC party president Patrick Obwe Amuriat criticized what he described as the distorted electoral process, arguing that the 2026 transition politics were compromised with allegations that votes were influenced through the widespread bribery across the country.
Where votes were bought at the rate of between 10 and 50,000 shillings, even in villages, is a great shame to the nation of Uganda. I am sure wherever Mr. Museveni sits, he is not going to be proud of the so-called victory, the 72% that they claim belongs to them. These members of parliament elect who bought their way to parliament should be ashamed about what they did. And therefore, I dare to say, let not NRM go home thinking they are dusted on account of this election.
Meanwhile, the FDC National Chairperson Jack Sabiti says the party will engage in the board consultations with the key stakeholders to gather clarity on the electoral process and chart the best way forward ahead of the future elections.
The party's National Executive Committee will be summoned. It's not only me and my colleagues, but the whole party will be summoned to deliberate on our strategies and the best way forward, including a thorough review of our future participation in the elections. That means we three cannot decide for the party. It is the party. We have structures of the party, the National Executive, and the National Delegates Conference.
And elsewhere, the Democratic Party is reassessing its political strategy after a disappointing showing in the 2026 parliamentary elections. Now, speaking at party headquarters, DP President Norbert Mao cited financial constraints, campaign challenges, and internal party dynamics while outlining plans to rebuild, engage young voters, and strengthen internal democracy ahead of the next political phase. We take a look.
The Democratic Party has begun recessing its political direction following one of its weakest performances in the 2026 parliamentary elections after winning only 6 seats nationwide, fewer than in the previous polls. Addressing the media at the party headquarters, DP President Norbert Mao said the party went into elections under difficult circumstances, setting negative public narratives, financial constraints, and unresolved disputes over iPod campaign funding.
It is unfortunate that we could not keep our promise, because our promise was based on a promise made to us by the Uganda government, a promise of funding.
Mao said DP candidates were largely left to campaign on their own with minimum institutional support after agreed funding under the Inter-Party Organization for Dialogue failed to be released. Despite the setbacks, Mao praised the party's Kampala Lord Mayor candidate, saying her grassroots engaged working in markets, supporting the elderly, and engaging street sweepers helped reveal the DP brand in the city and showcase people-centered leadership.
Was like any common person in this city. She went to the markets and she hasn't stopped. In fact, she's already doing what I've called everybody to do. Even today, she's going to the villages, distributing the balance of t-shirts she had printed. The other day, she was busy distributing sugar and soap to the elderly, which none of the so-called winners have even done. Cargo plane is bringing thousands of gloves for the women who sweep the streets, because these women are touching things which are giving them infections. That's what she discovered, and she's responding. She said, I can afford this. Let me bring the gloves. I may not be the Lord Mayor, but if I can give 15,000 gloves for the women who sweep the streets, that's okay. They don't even have to vote for me, but at least I will have done something good for my city. That's why her slogan was, your city, your say.
While many opposition parties suffered heavy parliamentary losses, Mao said DP modestly increased its number of members of parliament and remained well positioned to defend democracy, citing its long history, internal openness, and a commitment to pluralism. He pointed to DP's gains in the Acholi sub-region as evidence of the party's continued national relevancy, despite early defection that had reduced its parliamentary numbers. DP. Mao also clarified that the party's cooperation agreement with the ruling NRM is a time-bound, not permanent, while reaffirming ongoing efforts towards reconciliation within DP.
The leadership of the party still have to discuss many things, including the cooperation agreement with the NRM, which, as you know, has an expiry date.
The DP president reaffirmed his presidential ambitions, saying his national background and ability to bridge Uganda's regional and linguistic divides position him to provide unifying leadership even as speculations continue about a possible speakership bid.
And that has put me in direct conflict with people who believe in ring fencing positions. But I'm not the one to blame for citizens saying Mao should be speaker. I've not even said anything about that position. But there's this outpouring of goodwill.
Mao said the Democratic Party will now focus on rebuilding, engaging young voters, and strengthening inner democracy as it prepares for the next political phase.
And immediately, we shall commission the team to start preparing the strategic plan for the period between now and 2031. So, before the end of March, the National Executive Committee will convene to discuss the strategic plan of the Democratic Party. And alongside it, the strategic plan of the Women's League and the Young Democrats.
Well, that's it from the political side. And now let us move to the religious side, even as we listen in from the Archbishop. Archbishop's Moment. Sponsored by Uganda Christian University, a center of excellence in the heart of Africa. Join the UCU experience now. And
St. John's Wakiso Secondary School, where faith meets education.
We are not supposed to be. You are in that tribe for a reason. You are in that school for a reason. You are an Anglican for a reason. You are in that very place where you are right now for a reason. You cannot be where you are for nothing. You cannot be where you are without a reason. There is a reason for that. Now, what you have to do is to have some time and pray and ask God, why am I here? Why did you create me? Why am I belong to this tribe? Why am I holding this position? Why? Why am I a tall person? Why am I a short person? Why am I a huge person? You must ask those questions. Don't just admire tall people. You don't know their problems. So if you are short, appreciate yourself. Don't pretend or don't wish to be a tall person. Appreciate who you are. Appreciate what you are. Appreciate where you are. Appreciate what God has made you to be. Because you are there for a reason.
Archbishop's Moment. Sponsored by Uganda Christian University, a center of excellence in the heart of Africa. Join the UCU experience now. And
St. John's Wakiso Secondary School, where faith meets education.
of course, in case you are wondering why you are wherever you are, remember that God knows the plans that He has for us. And of course, His plans are to prosper us, not to harm us. His plans are for hope and a future. And of course, stand by that word, and with time, you'll be able to understand why you have been placed in that particular position. Well, that's the message from the Archbishop tonight. We are going for a short commercial break. Do stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You are still watching News at 8. Now, the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, the Most Reverend Dr. Stephen Samuel Kazima Mugalu, together with other Church of Uganda leaders, today hosted the Group Chief Executive Officer of Equity Bank Holdings, Dr. James Mwangi, at the Provincial Secretariat in Kampala. Now, Dr. Mwangi paid the courtesy visit alongside several senior officials from Equity Bank, including the Managing Director of Equity Bank, Mr. Gift Shoko, the Managing Director of Equity Bank Kenya, and other bank executives. Now, the delegation arrived at the Provincial Secretariat at around 4 p.m. and was warmly received by Archbishop Kasimba and church leaders. We take a look.
The delegation arrived at the Provincial Secretariat at around 4 p.m. and was warmly received by the Archbishop Kazimba and church leaders.
We can be played together. Joy is in my office.
In his welcome remarks, Archbishop Stephen Kazimba commended Equity Bank for its continued support to the Church of Uganda, particularly its contribution towards the completion of Church House.
Praise the Lord, let the people rejoice.
It's not merely a business relationship. It is a partnership anchored on trust, shared values, and mutual growth. We thank you for working with us. The working relationship between the Church of Uganda and Equity Bank Uganda has been strong and fruitful. Equity Bank has consistently supported our church projects and programs, including those that directly uplift communities, promote economic empowerment, and strengthen household transformation.
The Archbishop emphasized the importance of strengthening this collaboration, especially in empowering farmers through access to affordable loans, and urged Equity Bank to consider opening more branches across dioceses of the Church of Uganda.
The Church of Uganda has 39 dioceses spread across the country. Many of our Christians and institutions, schools, health facilities, circles, and parishes have embraced Equity Bank products and services. However, one challenge remains accessibility. We humbly request that Equity Bank considers opening more branches and service points in additional dioceses.
Dr. James Mwangi, the Group CEO of Equity Bank Holdings, assured the Church of Uganda of the bank's commitment to strengthening ties with a special focus on enabling church members to benefit from agriculture financing.
It's a lifetime partnership because as Gift looked at you, he says, and this is my ladro. That relationship has now been institutionalized. It's not a client anymore. It's a landlord-tenant relationship, a customer, and that has helped us, Your Grace, to reach out to the parishes, to the members, and we work together with you. Today we have discussed two matters with His Grace. We'll look at it and to see how we can continue to strengthen our relationships and to complement each other to work. As we put 30% of our loans to 30% of our loans to agriculture, our landlord, these are not look at His Grace, would love if we work together to ensure its members of our church who become beneficiaries.
He encouraged believers, particularly those involved in agriculture, to take advantage of the financial opportunities offered by Equity Bank to improve livelihoods and productivity. Dr. Mwangi applauded the church for the partnership and reaffirmed Equity Bank's determination to work closely with the Church of Uganda for the benefit of its members.
If you give 13 million a chance, most likely you have given 50% of the population through households. So that's something, Your Grace, you can pray for God's favor to see how we can work together. It's a wish
It's a will I would commit myself to. We realized the dream of the church. Can we achieve the dream of the members or the followers? In Equity, we call them members.
The visit concluded with the Archbishop and church leaders presenting gifts to the Equity Bank delegation. Dr. James Mwanji is a Kenyan accountant, career banker, businessman, and entrepreneur, currently serving as the Group Managing Director and Group Chief Executive Officer of Equity Bank Group Holdings. Julius Mahumza, Church of Uganda Family TV, News at 8.
Praising my Savior all the day long.
Now, the African Union has reiterated its commitment to resolving African challenges through African-led solutions, dismissing reliance on foreign or external interventions. As Uganda hosted a high-level AU delegation focused on advancing peace and stability in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. We take a look.
Today, Uganda hosted a high-level African Union delegation led by the President of Togo and newly appointed African Union mediator for the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo crisis, Faure Esozmina. The meeting forms part of renewed democratic efforts aimed at finding sustainable solutions to the long-running conflict in the region. During the engagement, President of Togo, Gnassingbe, thanked God and prayed for wisdom and guidance to help bring an end to the crisis in Congo.
Et surtout, apprendre de vous, puisque vous connaissez ce problème depuis si longtemps.
And also seek your kind advice because you know this problem for such a long time.
Le président Obasanjo qui
The delegation, comprising former Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta, former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo, and former Ethiopian President Sahle Work Zewde, emphasized that African leaders are best positioned to understand and address the continent's security challenges. The delegation also requested President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni to renew his active involvement in resolving the DRC crisis, citing his deep knowledge of the region and long-standing role in regional peace initiatives. President Museveni welcomed the request and pledged his full support to the ongoing peace efforts.
And we shall play our role here also to see this problem is really well known.
President Museveni reaffirmed Uganda's commitment to regional stability, noting that the country currently hosts more than 500,000 Congolese refugees who form part of over 2 million refugees residing in Uganda due to conflicts across the region. Added that the causes of instability in the region are well known and must be addressed decisively.
We have got 500,000 Congolese here. They are part of the 2 million refugees who are here in Uganda. Uganda now is the richest in hosting refugees. We know the problem so well. It's really a shame that it should take so long because it is easy to solve.
Former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo explained that the meeting was grounded in the belief that the African Union must remain at the center of solving African problems.
To be able to solve the problem, we must all diagnose the disease properly and then administer the necessary dosage of cure for the disease. And that is why we are here now. We believe that AU has to be at the center.
Obasanjo cautioned against seeking solutions from foreign capitals, stating that external actors, including Washington and Europe, cannot provide lasting answers to Africa's challenges. He stressed that sustainable peace and development must be built from within the continent.
Now, some of our brothers have gone to look for solution in Washington. And Washington is interested in what will be solution. But solution from Washington may not be the full solution to our problem. The solution being, how do I put it, being imported from outside, from Washington from Qatar, from France, or from anywhere else outside Africa may not properly deal with the situation that we have in our hand.
He added that the delegation has accepted the responsibility for addressing Africa's challenges, revealing that they have engaged the governments of Rwanda and Congo, as well as the M23 movement. The delegation expressed confidence that the agreed African-led roadmap towards peace will prevail.
And we, led by our brother, the mediator, President Faure Gnassingbe, and the 5 of us who are facilitators, we have taken it upon ourselves to say we have accepted the responsibility. We will seek and look for African solution to our African problem.
The African Union delegation's visit underscores the new regional resolve to pursue lasting peace in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo through dialogue, cooperation, and African-led leadership, reaffirming the principle that Africa's future must be shaped by Africans themselves.
Properly deal with the situation that we have in our hand.
And in other stories tonight, the Uganda National Examinations Board has confirmed the recovery of missing primary leaving examination scripts from Bamure Primary School in Koboko District, alleviating concerns after dozens of candidates were left ungraded in the science subject. Now, the announcement comes days after Education Minister Mama Janet Kattaha Museveni released the 2025 PLE results, which showed that over 730,000 pupils passed, while more than 77,000 were ungraded. We take a look. The Uganda National Examinations Board announced earlier today the recovery of the missing integrated science scripts for pupils of Bamure Primary School. The scripts are now set to be marked. The Minister of Education and Sports, Honorable Janet Kattaha Museveni, officially released the primary leaving examination results on 30th January 2026 at exactly 11 a.m. at the State Lodge in Nakasero.
And Sports and First Lady of this country.
Thank you and God bless you.
While many pupils celebrated their primary leaving examination results, students of Bamure Primary School in Koboko District were alarmed to discover that their science papers had been marked with an X, leaving them ungraded despite having sat the exam. The incident sparked panic and drew widespread public concern. In a statement, Jennifer Kalule Musamba, Principal Public Relations Officer at UNEB, confirmed that the scripts of 34 candidates from the school had initially gone missing during quality control checks. She explained that this led to provisional grading while further verification was carried out as UNEB conducted through searches at its marking centers and at the school itself. She went on ahead to state that the envelope containing the scripts was first handed over to Koboko Central Police Station, where officers collected it from the school and confirmed it had not been tampered with as a way of ensuring transparency. The recovery follows reports of the scripts having been inadvertently left behind at the school after the examinations, which were administered in early November 2025. The scripts have since been transferred back to UNEB for processing, and stakeholders were urged to remain patient as the marking is completed. The 2025 primary leaving examinations started with the briefing of candidates on Friday, October 31st, 2025. Actual examination papers commenced on Monday, November 3rd, and ended on the 4th November 2025.